Welcome to the Retirement DNA podcast. I'm Aaron Johnson. We believe you deserve financial advice based on your best interest. In our podcast, we discuss all aspects of retirement planning. So today we're going to talk about when you should take Social Security. This is probably one of the main issues that we address, and probably the number one question that we get when creating an income plan for someone. They want to know when's the best time for them to take Social Security. And it's complicated, right? And this typically a prospect or a client already has some thoughts or feelings about when they think they should take Social Security. And we'll go through a couple of different examples in just a little bit. But first, let's talk about some of the key factors on deciding when to take Social Security. The first is life expectancy, right? This is number one. Typically, people underestimate how long they're going to live. When we meet with someone, they tell us several times, everyone in my family has died of either a heart attack or cancer by the age 77, so I'm not even going to make it past that, so we don't need a plan for me to have anything past then. But then we might ask them, well, are you doing things different than your parents did or your siblings did or your grandparents? And they say, well, yeah, I'm eating better or I'm exercising or, I'm trying to take better care of myself. Well, then chances are you're going to live longer. And the fact is the people are living longer all the time. So we want a plan for you to, live longer, and you're not going to necessarily pass away by that age 77 date. Also, the second thing is looking at your earnings record. Are you a high earner or a low earner? What about your spouse? Were they a higher earner or a lower earner? What are their Social Security benefits and their amounts going to be? Then we also take a look at your other assets that you own, right? Do you have 401ks or Roth IRAs, brokerage accounts, stock accounts, IRAs? Do you have rental property? Do you have rental real estate, right? When are those assets going to generate an income for you? Also, what's the tax situation on those other assets? So typically, income usage or real spending that you have during your life has different stages, right? So kind of while you're young and going out and traveling a lot, these are your younger years. These are your go-go years, right? So you're going to be spending more. Then typically you're going to get to your mid-70s. These are kind of the slow go years, if you will. You've been there. You've done that. You still are going to be traveling some. You're exercising. You're playing golf. You're gardening. You're still fairly active. Then you kind of get into your early to mid-80s. And I won't say that these aren't your no-go years, but maybe they are your won't-go years, right? You're typically not traveling as much. Life is now kind of revolving around staying home, maybe visiting family, and doctor visits, right? Each of these different stages typically requires less income or less real spending, right? So do you take your Social Security early on because you're going to have more expenses and you're going to be doing more? Or do you delay Social Security and take it at 70 and use your other assets for that other spending that you might do earlier on, right? Everyone is different. There are no two families that are the same. Every family has different goals than the next family. So a couple of different examples, and remember, just because they might be similar to your situation doesn't mean that this is the advice that we would give you. That doesn't mean that this is the best advice for you. So in one example, we'll call them Dick and Jane. This is just kind of a classic example where Jane has mainly stayed home through Dick's career. She may have worked early on, but she plans on just kind of collecting half of his benefits because they would be more than what her benefits would be. All right, so most of you know that you can take half of your spouse's benefits, but there are some rules around the spouse getting half of the other spouse's benefit. And we hear this all the time. Typically it is the husband or the spouse that's saying, well, I've been working, I've had the higher income, Jane has stayed home, and we just assume she's going to collect half of my benefit. So rule number 1 is the spouse can't claim half of his benefits or half of the higher spouse's benefits until the working spouse has filed for their Social Security. Rule 2, the half of the spouse's benefit is calculated using the higher spouse's Social Security at full retirement age. Everything with the Social Security is based off of full retirement age, right? So if you're not aware, Social Security says that there is an age, and it all depends on your date of birth, that you are now is considered your full retirement age, or FRA is what they refer to it as. So if you were born at from 1960 or later, your full retirement age is age 67. If you were born prior to that, it could be 66 and 7 months, or 66 and 2 months, or 66 or 65, or any kind of combination thereof. So you can take your Social Security earlier, but of course you're going to get less. Or you can wait longer than your full retirement age. So if your full retirement age is 66, you could wait until 68. You get an 8% increase from 67 to 68. Or you can wait until you're 70. So let's say the full retirement age for Dick, he's at 67, and his benefit would be $3,000 a month. Jane cannot claim half of his Social Security, or the $1,500, until she reaches her full retirement age, and, going back to rule number 1, until Dick files for his Social Security benefits. So 1, she has had to reach her full retirement age, and Dick has to be collecting his benefits. So what if both spouses are the exact same age? And Dick decides, I'm going to delay my benefits, and I'm going to take them at 70. And Jane decides that she wants to claim half of his now at 67. Can she do that? No, because Dick has not claimed his Social Security benefits yet. And Jane is only going to get half of what his full retirement age benefits are, not the higher amount of his delayed retirement at age 70. So let's say he gets $3,900 a month at age 70. Jane is still only going to get $1,500 a month, because that's what his full retirement benefits are, right? So again, it goes all back to that full retirement age amounts. So that's the example 1. So let's look at example 2. So what if someone is single in retirement? What changes? So you still get your benefits. And the general rule of thumb, if you are single, is to wait as long as you can, right? And I'm going to assume that you're going to live into your 80s. And that is typically kind of where that break even happens. So you want to wait as long as you can. Now, if longevity is not on your side, then maybe you want to take that earlier. Or maybe you plan on doing more when you're younger, and maybe you want to take that early on. But really, you tend to benefit from waiting and delaying those benefits as long as you can, so that you know that that's guaranteed later on in life. Right, but that's not always the case. You may need it earlier, and you may need to take it. But some people are in retirement due to being widowed or divorced, right? And there are benefits for both of those as well. So let's take the more kind of common case here, and that's the divorced person. So if you're divorced and you are eligible to take up to half of your ex-spouse's benefits, provided you've been married for at least 10 years to that person. So if you were married to someone, so in one case that we had, this lady was married to a very high earner, and she was thinking about getting divorced, and she mentioned this to us. But they'd been married for about 9.5 years. So we wanted to let her know that if she were to wait another 6 months and a day, she would be able to claim half of his Social Security later on. Well, she decided to wait and put in 6 more months, but they ended up working on their marriage and actually turning it around, and are still married today, which was fantastic that actually worked. But if you were to divorce, or you've been divorced, you do get, and you were married to him for at least 10 years, then you get a claim half of their Social Security. And this is one of the exceptions that Social Security Department allows, is that they do not have to be taking their benefits for you to claim. And another question that we get a lot of, it does not affect the ex-spouse's Social Security at all either. They don't even know that you've claimed using their Social Security. So example number 3. So we're going to use John and Mary. And in this case, both of them worked, right? But John has health issues. And his health issues are really going to cut his life short. He's not going to make it to his mid-70s from what the doctors kind of said. But Mary, on the other hand, is very healthy, and she's going to live a long life. And, her life expectancy is 20 years past when they think that John will pass away. So even though they both worked, John made more money than Mary did. He was maxing out his Social Security each year. Mary had a good paying job, but again, it wasn't quite as high as John's. He thought that he should take his Social Security as early as possible to get the most benefit out of it while he was healthy. But then we had to tell him that when he passes, Mary's going to get the higher amount between the two, which would be his Social Security. So she would have a higher Social Security after he passed for the next 20 years. So we told him that what we would recommend is not the best decision for him as an individual to delay his Social Security until 70, but it was the best way to maximize Social Security for them as a couple, right? Because Mary's going to be collecting that higher amount for a very long time. The way we suggested that they do Social Security, it would give her a benefit of $48,000 a year after his passing, would give her a benefit of $48,000 a year, whereas the way that he had been planning, she would have only really been getting about $2,500 a month, so about $30,000 a year. So that's an $18,000 difference each year. And if you do the math, her life expectancy is 20 years past him. That's $360,000 more in her pocket by doing it this way and having him delay. So yes, it cost them kind of in the short run, but it was better for the long term. So there you go. There's kind of some different examples. Again, there are a lot of different factors that go into making these decisions. No two families, situations, or goals are the exact same. Remember, there are other factors that go into an income plan other than Social Security. So, what other assets do you have? Does it make sense for you to take from those first and delay Social Security? Or does it make sense for you to start Social Security now and delay those assets for later on? Our goal at the Dwayne Johnson Group and Bridger Financial Services is to make sure that our clients know that they can make it to and through retirement and can spend with confidence during those years. We want to make sure that they have financial security in any economy. Thank you for listening to the Retirement DNA podcast today. If you have any questions or would like to sit down with us for a consultation and to see if you're on track to meet your secure retirement, please give us a phone call. Our number is 951-244-6702. Again, the number is 951-244-6702. And if you like what you've heard, please subscribe to our podcast. And please tell any of your friends or family if you think that they would benefit from the information. You can also check us out at DwayneJohnsonGroup.com or BridgerFinancialServices.com. Thank you and have a great day.
Investment advisory services offered through Bridger Financial Services, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of California. Insurance products and services are offered through Dwayne Johnson Group, LLC, affiliated company. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Dwayne Johnson Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Dwayne Johnson Group, LLC.